Hello all.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Hello? Who's got, oh, for crying out loud. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I don't know if I can get on audio. There I am.
Okay.
All right.
Good evening.
I'm ready to take you live, Madam Mayor, whenever you're ready.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, give me a slow 3 count and we'll be going.
1, 2, 3. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our council meeting for Monday. I'd like to welcome you all here, and I'd like to call the meeting to order as well at 7 o'clock. You have the agenda before you. CAO, is there any additions?
There's no additions from administration, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I would like to pull 15.6 out into 13.6 and 15.1. Sorry, I should have reversed that. 15.1 into 13.7. Is there any other additions? Seeing none, could I have someone adopt the agenda, please?
I'll move with the
Thank you,
changes.
Councillor Forrest. All in favor? Carried. The approval of minutes. Is there any errors, omissions, deletions? If not, could I have someone adopt, please?
I'll make a motion.
Deputy Mayor Langford. All in favor? Carried. So on May 27th, I attended a READY meeting, and basically with READY, what Andrew O'Rourke, our new CAO, is doing is updating our information on the town folio, as it's quite outdated. He has created a READY YouTube page and has uploaded all the READY videos to that site. So if you want to see what READY is doing, please go to the READY YouTube page and watch that. We've contracted New Harvest to do a website design. And he also worked with a graphic designer to create new READY maps. And these READY maps will show the Northwest region inclusive of all the roads and rail that are here. The board reviewed the hemp project, and part of the hemp project was the Hannah report, which was a business case to attract a business into our region to do hemp fiber. I guess basically out of the report, the best thing that we could say is that our region grows the best, strongest, and tallest of all hemp. And we also reviewed a hemp chain, which is a processing plant. On May 27th, I attended a tourism webinar, and it was through Travel Alberta. And Travel Alberta is restarting their cooperative marketing investment program. And the program is open it opened on June 1st, and it's there to support partners with experience, develop some marketing. And there's 2 intake days, June 1st and September 1st. And there are some partner funding that we can do here with Mackenzie Frontier Tourism. And we probably be eligible for up to 5,000, and it's not based as most grants are on a 50-50. This is just $5,000 to do e-commerce, online bookings, development of virtual experiences, things like that. The main intent is to assist businesses in developing during the COVID-19 and to get Albertans back to work. May 28th, attended a Boreal housing meeting, and we passed a harassment and bullying program policy to ensure that our staff that are being harassed or bullied have the resources and the support to report to. We also passed a new policy, which is the personal protective equipment policy, to ensure that employees are using their personal protective equipment. We also passed an evacuation policies for level SL2s, which would be lodge level people. Crawford has indicated to Boreal that there will no longer be any disruptions because of COVID, because they have all their material on site now. And they've updated, schedule still shows June 5th, they will do an interim turnover to Boreal Housing, and a scheduled date for move-in August 7th. Please don't hold my feet to the fire on that. Those are just the kind of dates that they have given us. So hopefully we're able to stick to them. For our social housing in Fort Vermilion, the government of Alberta has advised Boreal Housing that we are to charge rent for May for all tenants that are not paying rent elsewhere, because our tenants have received funding to pay rent, and if they're not paying rent somewhere else, they are supposed to be paying it to Boreal Housing. The housing advisor explained that tenants, like I said, have already received the funds that they normally get, plus they've received CERB payments, plus they have received evacuation payments. So they should be expected to pay some landlord. That's the government, not me. In total, Boreal Housing has 34 tenants that owe an outstanding of $35,000. So we're trying to collect these arrears, but it's been very difficult. I don't know if any of you have heard or watched the senior resident launch. A key pillar is strong protection still for vulnerable Albertans. This reopening is going to proceed much slower and much more cautious. But they were also told that residents could leave the facility for 24 hours with family. We thought this was not a good idea, so we wrote a letter to Dr. Henshaw asking if we could allow people in 2 at a time to see their parents, because we felt that we could control the spread of COVID much easier instead of allowing the seniors to go out and all over the place with their family. Dr. Henshaw did say if they were to go out, they would have to maintain social distance, face masking, whatever else. So our letter was delivered. I haven't heard whether it has been accepted or not yet. But we were told under no circumstances were we to allow anyone in the lodge until we had a letter from Dr. Henshaw stating that we could. Mackenzie Frontier Tourism, we had a board meeting May 28th. Yeah, on May 29th, there was an emergency housing meeting for Fort Vermilion. Our June 1st SETI meeting was rescheduled to tomorrow. On June 2nd, we videotaped the challenge coin video with Mia Hiscock, who is the Miss Northern Alberta Princess, and I'd like to thank her once again for participating in this. June 2nd, videotaped the grad speech for the first virtual grad in our community. I hope it's the last one. And June 8th, Northwest SAR, we did a review of the State of the Region report, which we still are not happy with. So hopefully we will get some more information coming forward. Yeah, so that's my report. If there's any questions, I will answer them. If not, could I have someone move that?
Was the lodge built on its budget, or did they go over or under?
We don't know that, Alice, but that's a good question. I could ask it for the next meeting, as it is the government that's doing it all. So we don't see the reports on what the overages are or anything,
Okay, thanks.
but I will find out at our next meeting.
Good.
Any other questions? Could I have someone accept my report then?
I'll move to accept the mayor's report.
Councillor Welke, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Deputy Mayor.
May 27th, I attended the same ready meeting as the mayor's reported on. June 1st, the city working group did meet for about an hour and 20 minutes before the main topic of conversation or for the meeting was rescheduled to tomorrow. On June 3rd, I attended the Community Park Redesign Stakeholder meeting. And then on Friday, June the 5th, I attended the NAIL meeting, the Northern Alberta Elected Leaders meeting. The WebEx connection that they had set up wasn't working for myself and a number of other users, but I was able to call in. There were a number of minor reports, but the biggest presentation was on the Species at Risk and Caribou Sub-Regional Task Force. The presentation was by Martin Long, the MLA for West Yellowhead, who chairs the Upper Smoky Caribou Task Force. Also by Marianne Chichik, the mayor of Whitecourt. The RMA rep was Paul McLaughlin, and there was a Wendy Christina with Weyerhaeuser Canada. As we're aware, there's the three areas, the Bistu, which is ours, Cold Lake, and the Upper Smoky, and they said that there's a fourth one to come, but it hasn't yet been identified. They said that there's 16 members sitting on the Upper Smoky Committee. And at the beginning of the presentation, they commented that of the three present ones, that the Bistu and Cold Lake were considered the less complicated of the ones that have been started, and they considered there to be the most complicated. Obviously the goal is 65% disturbance, but they're saying that the Upper Smoky is currently 95% plus, and they're talking about a 100-year plan to get to the 65%, and that the discussions that having a working landscape is critical. Nickel Applied Management apparently has been retained to do a socioeconomic study certainly in that region, but I expect in all regions, and they just highlighted the needs to maybe spend more time and give a more detailed report because just how much the province is going to be looking at those things. The Martin Long, the MLA who chairs that, made a comment that I found to be certainly surprising. He said that in speaking to the BISTU chair, that the BISTU chair didn't seem to understand what the big deal was because we were already at 65%, which is the standard, and I was quite surprised to hear that comment made. The other thing that they highlighted that we've been aware of is that the migratory nature of the herds, spending part of the year in Alberta, part of the year in BC, that without BC really getting on board, they're not sure what the final outcome is going to be. They're supposed to provide NAIL members with a copy of their briefing notes sometime within the next 7 or 10 days, and perhaps Mayor McAteer and Councillor Morgan can have a look at those in more detail to see how they sort of coincide with what we're doing with the BISTU. One other comment that was made, Jim Rennie, who's the chair of NAIL and is the councillor for Woodlands County, had indicated on the property taxes that they've actually extended their date for penalties to November 30th, but to try and encourage people to pay them on time, they're offering a 3% discount for anyone who pays their municipal taxes on time before the end of June. There was supposedly 4 MLAs on the call. Tracy Allard made a presentation and basically highlighted that the legislature is back to regular sittings, that they've moved away from their sort of committee sessions, and that right now they're currently scheduled to sit until July 23rd. Todd Lowen also made a presentation, noted that the province's emergency order expires on June 15th, and that there's no plans to renew it, and obviously that's with regard to COVID. He indicated that the stage 2 start period may be shortened by as much as a week early, and that the stage 2 plans may be revised to include some stage 3 reintroductions. Dan Williams and Pat Rain didn't report anything. The next NAIL meeting is September 11th, and they're going to try and do it again using WebEx. And subject to any questions, that's my report.
So the comment by the BISTU chair that we're already at 65%, is he saying Alberta or?
No, he's saying that the BISTU sub-regional task force, and according to MLA Long, the chair of R1 said he didn't understand what the big deal was in terms of meeting the federal compliance. So I don't know what he meant by that. I was taken somewhat aback when he said that, but.
That kind of takes me aback too, because we're not at 65%.
Well, certainly that's what was relayed to. We didn't get a roll call. I don't know how many people were in attendance this time, but I thought that was a pretty bold comment.
Yeah, well, Smoky Alapache is a very complicated one, or the Upper Smoky, because of, well, it's complicated because that's where all the oil and gas seems to be situated this day.
Yeah. And that's, sorry, the one other comment that they made is, even if everything was abandoned on the entire landscape today, it would take an estimated 40 to 75 years before the federal guideline of 65% would even be met.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
that's probably because, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Probably because ours has been left undisturbed, you know, in certain areas since 65. That's probably where he's getting his data from, but that certainly wasn't from the group. Because we know we're not at 65% unless we take fire out of there and legacy lines, et cetera.
Mhm. There was one comment made that in Germany, for example, the way that they have met all of these guidelines is they get to even count the green space in the median between the lanes on the Autobahn.
Yeah.
So no 500-meter buffering there like they're expecting here, but just some interesting comments from how this is being approached in different countries around the world. And it sounds like they're going to be applying for and expect to receive an extension to have their report done through maybe November or December of this year, just because of the complicated nature of everything that they're looking at.
So just so you know, or the public knows, BISHU task force was not asked to be at the NAO meeting. It's kind of strange that Smoky, Alapesh and Cold Lake were invited and not us.
Well, the Cold Lake didn't do the presentation. It was the Upper Smoky is what they characterized it at. But one of the comments that was made is that perhaps at a future meeting, it would be nice to hear from the other two groups.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully a request is coming.
Yeah, is Upper Smoky finished then?
No, they're going to be applying for an extension because of the what they said was the complicated nature of their study before getting in their recommendations.
That's
They've
very interesting because I think we're all complicated and we were discouraged from asking for an extension.
Yeah. So they've had 10 meetings so far to date, and their original deadline was the end of August to get in their communications. So.
Very interesting.
Well, that's why I wanted to report back on it, because it certainly didn't seem to correspond with the information that we've had on our task force. And I agree that they're all important, but certainly near and dear to our heart would be getting this done. Sorry, I'm just trying to quickly look at my summarized notes. They did say that the Upper Smoky has more caribou than Jasper National Park.
Yeah, because they all died in Jasper in a landslide. So I find that very interesting about what the 3% if you pay your taxes on time.
Yeah, that's why I made the note that, but they've given to the end of November.
Yeah.
Their grace period, but by giving the discount, they're hoping that a number of people will pay them on time to make it so that they don't have to dip into their operating line of credit. It sounds like Woodland County's been hit fairly hard.
Yeah.
With some of the oil impact and things like that, they're expecting a number of ratepayers not to pay their taxes.
Right. Is there any more questions for Deputy Mayor? All right, Councillor Anderson.
So May 27th, I attended the high-level library board meeting. That's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jessamine.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Morgan.
Good evening. On May 27th, I attended the same library board meeting as Mayor Councillor Anderson. I'm promoting him. Biggest thing coming out of that is we have tentatively approved the working agreement with the Mackenzie County Library Consortium. So we'll be providing library services out of the high-level library for residents of Mackenzie County who have Mackenzie County cards. May 28th, I attended the same Mackenzie Frontier Tourism Association meeting as yourself. And June 3rd, I attended the community park meeting with the deputy mayor.
Okay.
That's all I have to report.
Was that well attended?
It was actually. We were a little underrepresented. There was nobody there from softball, which They're a heavy user of the area that will be affected by the new facility pending it goes ahead. So it would be nice. They're going to try and reach out to them to get some input from them. But other than that, it was pretty well attended.
Good. Thank you. Is any questions of Councillor Morgan? Okay, Councillor Welke.
Hello. I didn't have any meetings attended, but just a couple updates on some of my committees. The FASD Society, they're having a little more challenges with their roof. And so the building is requiring a bit more repair, but the board has approved to go ahead with all of that. So the entire building, it looks like, will be usable and brought up to spec, especially the roof. Northern Lakes College, that committee, I'm still reaching out to them. I haven't heard if there's any activity going on with that group, so I'm still trying to touch base with them. Community Futures is rolling along with their CRRRF loans. There's been quite a few applicants for those. And I guess just the Banner of Remembrance Committee, Director Rolf released a proof for the banners. I don't know if everybody's seen that, but she may be reporting on that. But it's looking good, and it's the project's moving along nice. And that's all I have to report at this time.
So was your question answered whether it would be the community of the veteran wouldn't be on the bottom?
Oh, I didn't see. Maybe is Director Rolf online?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes?
Yes, it is the intention that the sponsor would be able to choose the community that is stated on there. Likely the community of the veteran.
Okay.
So then it was just the community name and not like a community logo, just to, I guess, not clutter up the bottom of the banner. Was that sort of the intent on bringing up that aspect of the proof?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, we decided that at the meeting that the logos clashed with the whole banner.
Right.
So we would just put the community at the bottom that they represented.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, it does. So Jan, just another thing, the CRFF, how much money did they have in this region? Do you know?
About $1 million to distribute around, like, through our Community Futures office.
Okay.
And it's a maximum of 40,000 per applicant.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anybody else have questions for Councillor Welke? Could I have someone move the reports then, please? Councillor Morgan, all in favor? Carried. Okay, so actions from council meetings. Any questions? Seeing none, could I have someone move to accept?
I'll
Councillor
move.
All in favor? Carried. The capital project status. Do you want to ask your question, Deputy Mayor? No?
No, sorry, I think we'll probably get in the monthly report to council some answers and maybe some questions to be asked still.
Okay. Could I have someone accept it then? Councillor Forrest, thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. The financial report. Is there any questions about that? Ellis, did you use up all the cemetery money?
Didn't have any to use.
You had $2,500. I see it's at 95%.
No, I
Yes.
didn't use it.
Deputy Mayor.
This is to Director Zanko, just how we're making out on the DRP recovery from the province from the Chuck Hague. Whether we finally invoiced everything and got a timeline on payment.
Absolutely. So good evening, Mayor and Council. We have submitted, I believe, a good chunk of the projects anyway, and we have received 4 advances to date. We are still dealing with some of the invoices. The rates are not correct, and we've been communicating with AEMA about how to correct these invoices, and then we can pay them, and then we can apply for the money from DRP. So we're still not quite there, but we are getting closer. I hope that answers your question.
Does that answer your question? Okay. Are there any other questions on the financial report? Could I have someone move to accept it then, please?
I'll move to accept the financial report.
Councillor Welke, all in favor? Carried. Monthly report to council. Any questions? Could I have someone move to accept it then?
Oh, sorry.
Any other question?
Yeah, so
Okay.
to Director Straub on the street sweeper, do we have an update back from them? That was a pretty big mistake that they did.
Yeah.
Yes, good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. It was a sizable mistake coming forward. So for those who don't know, our sweeper arrived about a week ago, and we did a site inspection. We were unable to travel for a pre-delivery inspection at the supplier down south, so they drove it up. Upon our initial site inspection, we noticed the major component, which is the hydraulic control system for the brooms and the gutter brooms and a few other components, was actually an air system. So first discussion initially was we sent it back. They decided to leave it here for a few days while they figured out how they're going to ratify it. Since then, I'm not sure if they got lucky or we got lucky. They had a unit showing up in Calgary which had similar equipment to what we required. It had the main components, which would have been a 4-month wait to have a new one built. So that was the hydraulic control system. So it had those options. It was missing a few other items, like our backup alarm, and we had a special mandrel for the broom and some beacons and cameras and stuff. So they've taken the current unit that came up and they're putting the components on the one that came up for another salesman or as a demo unit, and it should be ready in a week. So we're only delayed about a week, and we had a few other options. We had some extra spray nozzles and broom controls on the other unit that we didn't order. So I think in the end we'll break even other than the delay.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any other questions? Okay. Could I have someone move to accept the, I have a question. Central Mountain Air, I guess, Keith, that would be to you. They're going to resume air service elsewhere, but not in high level till the 8th. Is that a confirmed date?
Tentatively, they're advertising as the 8th of August. They are resuming service otherwise. It could be delayed again, but according to their website, they are saying the 8th of August.
Have we heard from Northwestern Air, or what is it, Northern?
Yeah, Northwest Air. We haven't heard anything back from them yet.
Okay. Any other questions? Could I have someone move then?
I'll move the report.
Councillor
As
Anderson,
presented.
thank you. All in favor? Carried. So under old business, we have the second reading of the proposed municipal offences procedure bylaw.
Madam Mayor, again, just for the sake of efficiency, please feel free to go directly to the director who submitted the RFD.
Okay. Chief Schmidt, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So as you see in the report, we brought this bylaw 997-19 to Council in September of last year. The intent of the bylaw was to streamline offense procedures into one bylaw, so all of our bylaws would report to one procedural bylaw modeled after the Alberta Provincial Offences Procedure Act. After first reading, the Council decided to ask administration to send it for legal review. We've had legal review done on that, and at this time we've decided that this bylaw would not necessarily be in the best interests of the town and or our enforcement department, just due to several complexities in terms of the amount of changes we'd have to do to all of our other bylaws. So at this time, we're asking Council to defeat bylaw 997-19.
Thank you. Any questions for Chief Schmidt? Seeing none, could I have a motion, please?
So, Madam Mayor, just as a matter of procedure, what we would have to do is have a councillor move second reading, and then we're requesting that Council defeat that motion.
Yeah.
I'll move second reading.
Who is that? Mike?
Me.
Okay, Councillor Morgan moves second reading. So now, in order to defeat this, we have to not vote yes. Just in case, because we're not used to this type of voting. Okay, so all in favor of this bylaw?
Oops.
One in favor. Those opposed? Defeated. Thank you. So 12.2 is the regular meeting for the emergency plan orientation. Chief Schmidt, please.
Thanks again, Madam Mayor. So on May 11th, as Council's aware, we presented an emergency plan overview to Council via PowerPoint presentation on Zoom. We failed to get a motion from Council to accept that for information. Under the Local Authority Emergency Management Act, or Emergency Management Regulation, there is a requirement that Council accepts or does a review of the plan every year, and that was our intention for the plan review. So we just need a motion from Council accepting that review for information so we can record it for Alberta Emergency Management Agency that Council actually reviewed the plan.
Okay. Could I have a motion then, please? Councillor Forrest, all in favor of that motion? Carried. So the RFD between the town and Mackenzie County for the intermunicipal collaboration framework, we...
Madam Mayor.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
So, yes, go ahead, CAO.
So this is just a housekeeping item. The Act requires that Council adopt the ICF. So this is just to amend the motion to change the word accept to the word adopt.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, approve to adopt.
Okay. Somebody want to make that motion, please?
I'll make that motion that we amend the motion to adopt. Is that the right wording?
Yeah. All in favor? Carried. So the RFD for bylaw 1009-20, which is the repealing local improvement bylaw. Is that you, CAO?
I'll pass this off to Director Zanko.
And
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to excuse myself during this reading due to a conflict of interest.
Okay.
If I can get out of my chair.
Mute
Thank you.
yourself.
So this is just a formalization of a resolution that was passed in April of 2019. Just the Municipal Government Act, Section 191 requires us to bring or take out a bylaw as it's brought in. So that means it has to be a bylaw that repeals the bylaw.
Okay. So we're being asked to give all 3 readings tonight, so we will need so we need first reading first. Is there any questions about this bylaw? Clark, CAO, did you have something to say? No.
Nope, that's just, yeah, nope, go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Go up.
Oh, no, I was just muting myself, sorry.
Okay, so could somebody?
I'll move first reading.
Deputy Mayor moves first reading. All in favor? Carried. Second reading.
I'll give you second reading.
Councillor Forrest, all in favor? Carried. And we need, because it's all 3 readings tonight, we have to have unanimous consent. Could I get?
I'll move unanimous consent.
Councillor Morgan, all in favor? Carried. And somebody to do third reading, please.
I'll move third reading.
Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. CAO, could you call Councillor Welke back, please? Phone him.
Already done, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So the next item on new business is Lac La Biche golf tournament for healthier communities. Is there anybody interested in going to it if September 18th, 2020 in Lac La Biche?
I'll move it for information.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. So the next one is the RFD for the parade. Mr. Schmidt, please.
Good evening again, Council. At the May 25th meeting, Council directed administration to bring forward a parade plan for review. As Council is aware, we're not doing the traditional Canada Day parade this year due to COVID restrictions. It was suggested by administration that we do a parade that allows the public to take part without really having to leave their homes. As Council sees in the package, we have devised a parade route that covers most of the town. There's some of the areas that the parade route just cannot make loops through areas because the parade will kind of fall on top of itself. So this parade route does allow us to take in as much of that residential area as possible, reduce that need to gather on Main Street. And those who are not covered by the parade would just still have a short walk and still be able to, collect on roadways or edges of people's yards still while social distancing to be able to watch the parade. The total parade route is 14.5 kilometers. It'll take 1 to 2 hours to complete. We have placed some rules with regards to the parade, proposed rules for Council's consideration. Those rules include all parade entries must be vehicle powered, so we're not going to allow bikes, horses, or walkers just due to the distance. We won't allow candy to be thrown or anything transferred from vehicles in the parade to the public, just to eliminate any chance of COVID spread in case that becomes an issue. We will have limits on number of people or social distancing required if riding on floats with people who are not within the same family unit or work unit that work together regularly. And we will be adjusting the awards just to provide online announcements to the winners and just give them kind of online credit. So that is the parade plan for Canada Day. We're still planning, for like a 10 or 11 o'clock start in the morning. And as you can see by the map, it covers most of town. We're just looking for Council's input and or approval.
So I'm just wondering about horses. Aren't they used to walking?
Yeah, We kind of consider that, and there was two reasons for the horses. One, just the distance, right? So 14.5 kilometers, they're going to need water at some point to be able to do that, and that might pose some problems. And just 14.5 kilometers on pavement with the horses, we just didn't want to, we just figured that might be hard on them. So we decided to just be better to leave the horses out of the equation.
Okay, any other questions of Mr. Schmidt?
If you were to have a, sorry.
Go ahead, Terry. Go ahead.
If you were to have a request from someone local wanting to put their horses in and could guarantee they get through, Rodney, would you look at their proposal?
I guess we could. I mean, that's up to council if they want us to look at that. That was just our concerns with regards to the horses. Certainly, if that can be mitigated by the owner, I don't see a problem. I'm not a horse expert, but we just figured that was a long run for them, especially if it ends up being a very warm day.
Yep, fair enough. Thank you.
Anderson?
Mr. Schmidt, my question is, have you approached any of the businesses or the past float participants to see whether they're even interested in a 14.5 kilometer parade route?
We have not. Sorry, we have not yet, because we wanted to get approval from council before we threw it out there. So, I mean, if we only get 1 or 2 entries, we might have to readjust. But we've done some informal kind of just talk around, and we have had some interest, but we haven't had any formal announcements yet, because we wanted to wait till saw what council's feeling was on it first.
Councillor Morgan.
It's a fairly long, windy route through town. How are we going to manage the traffic flows that are going to intersect with the parade as it goes through town over a 2-hour period?
So most of this area is in residential streets, so the traffic is fairly light in the residential areas. So we'll front and back it with police and peace officers. Some of the areas where we feel there'll be high traffic, we've already had kind of basic discussions at the administration level about some of the areas that we would barricade entrances off the highway and some of our main roads ahead of time. And we can always, if we have to, we can also use public works staff to leapfrog ahead of the parade and block certain entrances or intersections.
Okay.
So it is a fairly aggressive distance, but this is something that we asked so that there wouldn't be a congregation on Main Street. So I think it's a very good plan. I just would like, I mean, a lot of people come to see the horses and the way they're decorated. So I would encourage the committee to, like Councillor Jessman said, a case-by-case assessment of whether the owner wants their horses to go that distance or whether they break off at a certain distance or something like that, because I know for myself, I like to see the horses.
Yeah, absolutely. We're open to that. Like I said, we're not horse experts, but we just felt initially that might be a long route for them. But if anybody wants to take place, we can just have that discussion with them one-on-one.
Okay, thank you.
That's really not very far for a horse to walk. It's only about regular 6 miles, eh? It's really nothing for.
Okay.
I know it because we've done it lots.
I probably should have just asked you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there should be no problem at all.
Excellent.
Okay. Is there any other questions of Mr. Schmidt? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And council, could I have a motion if there's no other discussion?
I'll move that we go ahead with it.
Okay. So to go ahead with the proposal, are we gonna post that, Mr. Schmidt?
Yeah, so we'll send it out. I'll send, I'm actually out of town right now, but I'll send out an email immediately following this meeting to get it posted on our Facebook page. And we do have staff that were involved in this planning, so we'll get them to start sending it out to the businesses and so on right away.
Okay, thank you. So all in favor? What did I call that? Carried. So the next item is the waiving of a development permit for the FASD Society, CAO Clark McCaskill.
Madam Mayor, as mentioned in your report, the Northwest Regional FASD Society has purchased the former Action North Recovery Center. Because there's a change in use of this facility from an addictions treatment center to the purposes the society will use it for, which is supervised residential and office space, they do require a development permit. The fee for the development permit in a community use zoning is $200. Administration is requesting council consider waiving that development permit fee as the society can utilize that funds for their own services.
Okay. Is there any questions?
I have a question, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
If I'm on that board, do I excuse myself from this
No.
decision? No? Okay.
So, no, kudos to them for your next meeting. They've done a very nice job of keeping their property cleaned up and it looks nice over there. So kudos to the FASD Society. Is there any questions for Councillor Will? Did you have a question or are you making a motion? Or are you just?
I was asking if I can participate in this motion. And if I can't.
I was talking to Mike down there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't see my.
I was
have to
adjusting
flip
my
my
camera,
screen.
but I will make the motion to approve the waiving of the fee.
Okay, any more discussion? If not, all in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Okay. Okay, so 13-5 is the Indigenous Awareness Training for the Denida and the High Level SETI Partnership. And this was a proposal that was brought forward by Helen Patterson because we had talked about having the blanket exercise, and it's been a year and a half now, and we still haven't had the blanket exercise because some disaster always befalls us when we have it planned for. So this is an online course, and although they're not from Alberta, they're from BC, it has great raves. I was on their website, and it is something that could be taught to everybody. It's not specific to the Dene, but with the Dene online, we could probably be able to compare them. The money for this would come from our SETI money. It will cost us probably $3,000 because we won't have it before the end of June. They like to give it to like 30 people, but they will do it for up for 15 or more. And so there, Helen, or for our SETI meeting tomorrow, is looking, first of all, do we have interest in this? And this, the facilitators will talk about the history, the impacts of history on the Indigenous people, where self-government came from, all of these types of things. It's a 3-hour Zoom meeting, and you will have breaks because we all know we can't last for 3 hours on a Zoom meeting. So I'm just wondering, first of all, are we interested? And secondly, some dates that would work for people somewhere in July, August.
I'm interested.
Okay.
I have a question, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Is there no services in Alberta that could deliver this? I've taken it for the government of Alberta, where we had local elders take part in the in the teachings, and it's pretty valuable having that local knowledge and understanding. So, is there any services like this in Alberta that could put this on?
Well, that's a very good question, but I personally don't know if there's an online corporate training group in Alberta. Obviously, you have been on courses. Who are these corporate trainers, you know?
Well, actually, it's put on by the government of Alberta in conjunction with local communities and elders. So it's a joint venture. Yeah. There are
Okay.
local, elders that are consultants that do put on the training in Alberta, and we've had them at a number of our instruction sessions. So they come with a lot of local knowledge and understanding of the local community. So that's all I was just wondering if that we'd be able to do that.
This is more, and we recognize the fact that there's 600 different Indigenous groups in Canada, but this is basically about historical background of all Indigenous people across Canada, like the pre-contact, post-contact, the British North American Act, the Proclamation Act, things like that, the modern treaties. So it's not specific to one particular group. It's more of a blanket exercise from across Canada. So I don't know if, I actually went on their webpage. I downloaded their books and everything, went through. I think it would be very valuable. I recognize that there are local people that will do this, and we will do the blanket exercise after we can all come together as our SETI partnership, but just some Indigenous background and spending our SETI money. It's not coming.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Do you want to add anything, Deputy Mayor?
No, through SETI, I think they've tried to find something suitable given our desire to do something like this. I agree with Councillor Jessamine that if we could find a local group would be preferable. Second would be an Alberta group. But I think that if we are still planning to move forward with the blanket exercise, once the social distancing thing has been resolved, that perhaps this would be, good background information. You'll recall at the very beginning of our SETI project, at our first main meeting where they had the Dene and the town sort of do the timeline of the history. And I think this, from what I understand, would sort of do a more complete job from the First Nation side of sort of taking us on a step-by-step basis through the chronological order of everything. So if nothing else, I think that it would be great background information going into a more localized presentation and the blanket exercise as well.
Anybody else? So, even though we will spend, if we do this, and of course, we can do it like the Dene, I'm hoping will do it with us. They weren't online on last time, so we're going to visit this again tomorrow. So if this works for us, what dates would you be willing to do it? Like we're looking July, August. What would work best for everybody? Just give us a week or a couple of weeks that we could throw forward.
I'm pretty easygoing anytime in there.
Same here.
Nobody's going anywhere in July and August?
But, yes, but we have Zoom.
Yes, we do. Are you good, Councillor Jessamine?
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do this summer, so we're just waiting. So right now we have nothing booked, so I'm open.
Okay. Councillor Anderson?
I'm open for weekends like Saturdays, but if it's during the week, it's going to be very difficult for me.
Okay. When's the grand opening of the elevator?
I don't know the date. First grain to go into it should be early November.
Oh, cool. Okay, so you're saying Saturdays are about the best for you?
Yes, I can't commit on like during the week because there's just too much going on at the moment. So.
Okay. Are the rest of you okay with a 3-hour Saturday meeting? Councillor
Yeah.
Morgan, I haven't heard anything from you.
I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so we'll throw some of those dates forward and hopefully the Denny can, you know, like we have to work around their harvesting dates and those sorts of things. So hopefully we can come together on a Zoom meeting. You can come from your cabin or your field or wherever if we're on Zoom. So thank you very much. So I'll just entertain a motion for, I guess I don't need a motion. Do I need a motion, CAO?
No, not if we're working on dates. Once something's fixed, we can set it. We probably should wait until after tomorrow's meeting anyway.
Okay, thank you. So I asked to pull out 13.7. And the reason I asked for this to be pulled out is I wanted to acknowledge our peace officers, sorry, 15.6. I wanted to acknowledge the role of our peace officers and our RCMP in making sure that two people, specifically one person, a young girl, was safely returned to her community because of the joint work between our peace officers and our community, or our RCMP. So I wanted to publicly acknowledge the work that both these groups have done and say thank you for, you know, taking this and taking the young girl back. She was a victim of human trafficking, something I thought I would never, ever see in Canada, let alone in high level. So thank you very much for that. And is there any questions about that? If I can't entertain them anyways. The other thing that I wanted to pull out was the Alberta Ombudsman report. This was a report that was done by the previous commissioner of the RCMP, Marianne Ryan, and the Ombudsman report is it's very good, and I would like to let the community know that it's available for you online on in our package. You can download it. If you feel that your municipality is not serving you properly, this is the place that you can go and they will make sure that they're investigated. So it's for the community. If you want a report and you can't download it, the CAO will download it for you. Okay.
Yep. Madam Mayor, the administration can put that website and the report or links to it on our social media and website. But yes, if anybody needs a copy, we would be more than happy to present them with one.
Okay. Thank you. So those, now I'll entertain, first of all, is there any questions about the report? Anything anybody else wants to know? Okay, can I get a resolution for correspondence for information then?
I'll move the outstanding ones. Councillor Forrest.
Councillor Forrest, I was talking to the CEO, sorry. Councillor Forrest, all in favor? Carried. So seeing there are no questions for question period, this will end the public portion of our council meeting. We now go into an in-camera session, and usually it's things that are in camera are in negotiations between municipalities and governments, as well as information that would be harmful to an individual. So this ends our public portion. So thank you very much for attending. And could I have a motion to move in camera, please?
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Welke, all in favor? Carried. Yes, Councillor Anderson?